So I was thinking about doing a Game of Thrones typology set and really going into which characters are which. And I don't know if I have time or if I really, have the energy to do that, but I do want to focus maybe on a couple of them. And to start it out with, I really want to focus on the one that I love the most. What type I would be if I could be any type. This is probably my number one choice, or number two. But ENTP, baby. And one of my favorite characters of Tyrion Lannister. He is, to me, like the classic, hilarious fucking ENTP. The ENTP functions are extroverted intuition. Secondary is introverted thinking. Third is extroverted feeling. And fourth is introverted sensing. So some of the things that I think characterize an ENTP for me is they are the people that can't help themselves as far as like saying what everyone else is thinking. And it's not always so much that they're courageous and brave, although they definitely can be. It's more like their extroverted intuition, they see where things are going and they just blurt it out. Like, they're great at predicting which way things are going to head. And they make amazing social commentary. And Tyrion Lannister, I mean, he's like the ultimate peanut gallery on the show. Calling out everyone's shit, making fun of Cersei like a savage, which I love because she's an evil cunt. And he's one of the only people that can just slice people down with his words with so much ease. And it's really funny because another thing that really characterizes his type as an ENTP for me is how he says it kind of sardonically and very dry with kind of like this detached humor. Like, it's very deadpan a lot of the time, so you don't know if he's joking or not. And he is, but he's also being very honest and saying things that, no one else would dare say. So that's kind of one of the first things that I notice about him as an ENTP. Secondly, I would say that when an ENTP, it takes a lot for them to get aroused to great emotion. That's not something that they're very slow to blow up. Whereas an ESTP, they blow up and then they calm down, blow up and calm down, and they can alternate between those two modes very easily. And ENTP, it takes a lot to really provoke them into a state of high emotion. And one of my favorite scenes where you could see this with Tyrion was during his trial when he's being accused of killing Joffrey. And it was just the funniest shit, because even when he was super enraged, I think he said something like, maybe I'll put the clip in, I don't know, but he said to Cersei, "I didn't kill your son, but I wish I had. Seeing him die gave me more delight than 1,000 lying whores." And he just was screaming, and it was his face was so intense, and it was just really this emotional side of him you'd never seen before as far as rage goes. And I love that about ENTPs, that even when they're in a state of extreme emotion, they still are extremely sharp and they don't lose what they want to say in the moment. I think one of my favorite singers, she's an ENTP, MIA, and one of the things I love about her is her verbal wordplay and her lyrics and stuff, and that's something you see in Tyrion's character also. He is always making, puns and saying kind of double entendre meanings, and they could fly by you if you don't catch them, if you're not paying attention. Also, that ENTPs, they are quite loyal. they don't always feel comfortable expressing their emotions overtly in like a very gushy kind of way, but they are very, kind people, I would say, overall, and they, you know, they can be quite the schemers in a way, but actually they're more like, I would say they're more interested in observing than they are in manipulating. And Tyrion, like, he could do a lot of, damage to people or do a lot of scheming, but, for most of his life, he spends it drinking and whoring and just kind of lousing about. And that's something I also see in ENTPs. They can be very lazy. And I don't mean that as like an insult. I just mean that they get bored quite easily, so they often don't apply themselves in the way they should, because they sometimes are so much smarter than the people around them that they don't really see the point. And yeah, I think that's really fascinating. So that being said, when an ENTP actually does like find something they feel committed to or actually believe in, they can be amazing advisors and really like do a great job at offering advice and like really planning things out strategically. And you can really see this in like Tyrion's character as he becomes the hand to Daenerys, hand to the queen. He actually, it's funny, it's crazy to think actually how much his character shifts from the first 3-4 seasons to like these last couple ones. He's grows up so much like before our eyes. I mean, everyone does, but him especially, I feel like, in terms of his compassion for people and his seriousness and like his just, owning his shit. And it's really a great progression of the show to see. For me, and his earnestness. I think ENTPs, they, as I was saying, they can be very loyal, but also it takes them a long time to actually begin to trust people in a way. They don't take that lightly, even though I think that's the duality of them sometimes, is that everything seems so lighthearted or like they're nothing really bothers them, but then there's the side that they're deeply committed to things and people, and they don't take it lightly, actually. And I think you see this especially when Tyrion kills Shay. He had such love for her and such adoration for her, and really bonded with her beyond like what he thought she was just going to be, a simple whore, I guess, And so when she turned out to betray him, he lost his shit and killed her. But in a fit of passion kind of way, and I think that can leak out of ENTPs, at under points of high stress, like a lot of other types. But yeah, anyways, I just think they are so fucking great. And I just love them, honestly. I think ENTPs have just such a foresight. They're so freaking clever, and they're authentic. Even if they're ugly, they're they're partaking in behaviors like the aforementioned. They still are very like pretty honest about that usually. And I feel like an ENTP as a friend is one of the few types that really is gonna tell you when your shit stinks, and they're really gonna kind of point out what you need to do to improve things. So anyways, so that is Tyrion Lannister, the OG Savage on Game of Thrones, and why I love ENTPs, and probably the type I would like to be the most. Yeah.
Father, I'm guilty. Guilty? Is that what you want to hear?
You admit you poisoned the king?
No. Of that I'm innocent. I'm guilty of a far more monstrous crime. I'm guilty of being a dwarf.
You're not on trial for being a dwarf.
Oh, yes I am. I've been on trial for that my entire life.
Have you nothing to say in your defense?
Nothing but this. I did not do it. I did not kill Joffrey, but I wish that I had. Watching your vicious bastard die gave me more relief than 1,000 lying whores.